it's Vicki, and welcome to my weekly recap of Sarasota Tim. I'm probably a little later. I'm probably just short. I didn't record this as soon as I wanted to, but I waited until I was more alert and felt better because y'all know that if you've been watching me this week, I've not felt good. I think I'm finally deciding I think I had a stomach bug, and it's one of those lingering stomach bugs. I'm still not over it yet, but I'm much better than I was. Anyway, we'll start talking about Tim. I'm not going to spend much time on what happened at the beginning of the week because I know you want to hear, I know you've waited so long for my thoughts on the stalker video. So anyway, let's talk about Monday. You know, I've got down, it was a boring day. He's still continuing to hashtag and highlight solo RV living. You know, he's, really on this kick of wanting to promote being solo. But he says RV living is amazing, that everyone should be living in an RV if they're single and they can travel. But Tim doesn't really travel. So, he travels occasionally, but he's not someone who's constantly traveling. So, anyway, I guess that's neither here nor there. Of course, he talks about, I wanted to highlight this. I got my computer on. He says that he weighs 206.8, and this is what he says. I'm just quoting him. And he wants to be 196. Okay, that's 10 pounds. I'll give him that. I think that's a great start. But he wants a flat belly. If he wants a flat belly, he's going to have to lose more than 10 pounds. And he's going to have to put down the non-alcoholic beers. I'm not going to say he can't have one every now and then, but he definitely can't have 3 or 4 a day, or ever how many he's been having, because I know he's probably been having more than one. Anyway, I don't think he could even have one a day if he wants to have a flat belly, as he says. Anyway, I said maybe 156 would give him a flat belly if he wasn't, but it's not going to be totally flat because we know he's continuing to eat carbs. Okay, and he's never going to work out like, and I'm not saying he should. Please don't take that I'm saying he should work out, because I know people like to come back at me and say, oh, well, you need to worry about yourself more than him. I get that, but I know what it takes. I'm not willing to do it anymore. I put it to you that way. It's just easier for me to watch what I eat as much as I can, but still, I need to work out. I know that. Okay. Your body, one thing I wanted to say is your body is not the same as it was at 40. Tim has not realized that you cannot lose weight like you once did. Even men, it becomes more difficult as they age. Okay. Tim is going to do what he wants, and he says he's going to only eat meat. But if he wants an apple, he might have an apple once a week. He won't eat any bread, though. A salad every now and then. And he has a membership with LA Fitness and Planet Fitness. Okay, my thought is that he wants a bike. Why not take one of the biking classes? I bet you that LA Fitness and Planet Fitness may both have one. Where you're doing the bike class, everybody's on a bike. There's a big screen and the teacher is really trying to motivate you. Why not try one of those? All he's got to do is try it. If you don't want to do it again, don't do it. But I would do that before I would buy a bike. But we'll get onto the bike at the end. Okay, Tuesday. And like I say, I'm trying to take one video. He talks about grilling the best cowboy steak he's ever had. And I couldn't watch it all. He talks about the Montreal steak seasoning, but I looked at it. It has oils in it, and I'm sure there's hidden seed oils in there. I don't use it. I wouldn't use it, but that's up to him. He talks about using the pink salt. I don't use the pink salt. I use either the Celtic or Redmond's real salt. And most of the time, well, what I've got now that I have a big bag of that I fill my salt shaker with is Redmond's real salt, which, you know, that's the one I prefer even over the Celtic. He talks about he has built up his self-esteem by working out today. We'll be back to that in a minute. Claims to have done the elliptical now along with weights. Says he should have stretched at the beginning but only did it at the end. Says he's not bloated as he was a few days ago. And you know, that's awesome, Tim. And he talks about his cool neighbor. And I have put in the notes, I guess that's the one that told you Dan was by your RV site. And so we'll get on to that. Okay. His life is going to soar now. And I put fly away, Timmy, fly away. And now he takes the steaks to the expert grill and murders them. And I mean, why does he fix so much? Is he eating that much? You know, with carnivore, I think over time you can work yourself up to it. But at the beginning, you really got to watch your portions. I don't care what anybody says. Man, woman, whoever. You've got to watch your portions. It's no wonder that his cholesterol is so high. Okay, March 26th, he goes to Ace Hardware and buys him a new grill, Weber grill. $259 plus tax. Of course, this is a nice grill as far as I know. I have a gas grill out there. I don't even know what it is. I've used it maybe 3 times. And I probably need to sell it or give it to somebody. Y'all know me, I'd rather just give it to somebody than sell it. Okay. Folks, he got paid from I make the note. He got paid from YouTube over the weekend, went in the bank, and so he's now spending his money. I put in here, I thought that he may have made $2K. I'm not sure about that. That's just going by Social Blade. Could have been more. I mean, I'm going to say that's the least he made. He could have made more. Could have made more, let me say that. And I will say Social Blade has been closer since they read, and maybe it's the way YouTube is reporting, but it's being more accurate as far as pay where I'm concerned. All right. And I'm not making hardly any money, so. Not that I'm trying. I'm not trying, but anyway. It's neither here nor there. Tim would laugh at me, and he already laughs at me. He laughs at my views, I know. And not just mine, but others. Of course, nobody, to hear Tim talk, he gets 1 million views every day. But whatever, as I said. Okay, March 26th. Now he's grilling ribeye. He thinks, anyway, I said something about the comments on that video were pretty good. Someone says no steak should be cooked that much on any grill. Someone asked what's wrong with the grill attached to the RV. Tim answers that's a griddle, not a grill. And he's going to name the grill. And somebody said to call it the Carnivore Crusher, but I think he's calling it the Carnivore Cooker. Okay, March 26th. This is when he meets the subscribers from Kentucky. And I put in quotations, stalkers. Okay, now, when I first looked at that, the man looks familiar to me. Well, I am pretty sure that he has been on the channel before. And I don't know, I haven't gone back to look. I don't know if Darlene's had time to go back and look, or, you know, anybody like that, to see if these people have been there before. Anyway, it looked like a setup to me. It looked like that Tim had maybe already been chatting with them, and this is where he told him to pull to make it look like he'd run into him at the garbage, at the trash bin, whatever. Anyway, I don't know about it anymore since the other stuff with Dan's come out, but like I say, we'll get on to that in a minute. Of course, he goes in and talks about the next day that he got a rebate from his grill. The title is very misleading because it makes you think that he got a rebate from either Ace Hardware or Weber. And I think that video, he should be, I wouldn't report it, me personally, because as I said before, as a YouTuber, I just don't do it. I just make these videos. But if you wanted to report that video for the title, I think it could be reported, but I'm not telling you to do that. That's entirely up to you. Nothing will be done. So I'd say just don't do it. Don't do it. Okay. Tim says he is blessing those by selling his stuff he doesn't need and replacing it with stuff that he does need. Okay, that's how he's really saying he got the rebate, was because he sold some kind of charger, portable charger, I don't know, or battery, lithium battery, I think is what it was he sold, along with some solar stuff. And so that's how what he says he got the money back. But as the title says, it makes it look like he got a rebate from either the manufacturer of the grill or from Ace Hardware. So the next video says Favor is chasing Tim down. You know, you reap what you sow and all this stuff. And, you know, I do agree with that somewhat, but, you know, a lot of that too is mindset. And Tim, you know, you can always tell when Tim is trying to make himself be positive. And I mean, it's make, because I've done it. I know it. I can pick it out. You know, you're just constantly building yourself up, you know, trying to look at everything on the positive side. And, you know, but all Tim ever thinks about is money. You know, anytime, just about any video you could talk about with Tim, if you were taking shots, you would be intoxicated in no time flat, because money is always going to be, I don't know. Okay. Then he goes into talking about carnivore again, and I need to get on with it. I talk too much. Okay, we're finally to Friday. And Tim has a stalker. So Tim finally addresses he knows that Dan has been by. He says that the RV park is aware of Tim's stalker and the sheriff's department has been notified. He admits Dan did email him about meeting, but he felt Dan was doing the hater channel's dirty work. And, you know, I'm going to call BS on that. That is not what Dan was doing. You know, none of us, well, I mean, I guess Dinger has talked to Dan in person and over the phone, but I don't know anybody else has. We may email him or comment on his videos. And, you know, I was not for him going to the trailer park. After he went, you know, I kind of cheered him on but, you know, after that, I said, get out of there. And I did. I said, get out of there. But anyway. And, you know, I had no idea if the park had no trespassing or you must check in with the office, because I know a lot of RV parks do that. I know that RV park is different. I don't know that much about Florida ones because I've not been really looking at one. But anyway, somebody has already said, no, there are no signs. And that I know, I have read comments that someone has already called the office and they have asked, could anybody ride through there? Did they need to check in with the office when they got there? And they said no. So how much of that to believe that Tim reported, I don't know. Now, another thing that Tim does when I feel like he's not being truthful is he tells this big long tale. And, you know, just like with the story with Dog the Bounty Hunter, he went into a long drawn out detail and then even more later on. So it's like he constantly, and it's like he's just adding more to it. You know, I think that maybe he had been working on this story all week. And then when the couple showed up or whatever, he kind of added to it. Now, I'm not going to say that they didn't tell, that Tim didn't walk into the office that morning and someone say, because we know the neighbor saw Dan, that he had somebody in there. Now, and Tim probably said, oh yeah, I got stalkers. Okay, that RV park, I know, I have read, it was either that one or right next to it, they've had a shooting or something recently. I won't say in the past month or two, but I'm going to say within the past year. So to me, it would not be unusual to see the sheriff's department or police. I don't know if that's in the city limit, I would be shocked that unless they're all the same down there. I think in Jacksonville it's that way, but I thought they were the only county like that in Florida. But like here, the only reason the sheriff's department would come to my house or somewhere else would be if they were probably dropping off court papers or something like that. It wouldn't be patrolling. The police would be patrolling. So I would think the police will be the ones patrolling there. But like I say, never been there, don't know. All right. Anyway, I think that Tim is trying to make it all, so dramatic. He needs this video that gets a lot of views because it's the end of the month. When it comes Monday or whenever the end of the month is, which my days are off. I'm sorry. I can't keep up anymore. Everybody says that it's when you stay at home. No, it's when your mind is not right from being sick. Anyway, I know that when I mention that, people will say things that try to make you think that I am not in my right mind. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. Okay. Dan has responded, and Dan says he's not going back. Now, my thing about Tim is I have said this all along, and I said this when I first started talking about Tim. Of course, I know that was a year ago. That Tim never should invite people to wherever he's at. Even when he's out west in a parking lot, he should not invite people to stop by and say hello. I mean, you're asking for it. So why he does that is beyond me. And why he thinks that's okay. And then you have the other side of Tim that is constantly showing other people's address. And I know if he's driving around the neighborhood and he's got a house, shows a house for sale, that's kind of a little different because the house is for sale. If it's on the market, it's going to be on the internet. So most of the time. So I get that. But when the house is not for sale and you say, look up the house beside of it or whatever, or look up that house and see if you can see what it sold for before, I don't think that's right. Just my opinion, but I don't think that's right. Now, if he wants to do that off camera, look it up, and then say, well, I've looked up the house, but don't say the street name or anything like that. He also pretty much doxed JJ, and I know he's probably going to say JJ didn't care. He lives behind a gated security guard, whatever. It's still not right. You still should not get into the habit of doing that with anyone. And I know some of you or somebody may say, well, you encouraged Dan. And if you look back at my videos, no, I didn't. Not really. I did tell him to be careful because I knew no matter what I said, he was still going to do it. So, I have made it clear how I feel about that from the beginning. I don't want people riding around my house. It's not that I'm afraid, and I can't stop anybody from doing it. But I don't want them. I just don't want that going on. All right. And it's not fair to your neighbors. All right, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about, he went looking for a bike, some kind of beach bike by Electra. I looked them up. They look like a women's bike, more to me, more feminine. I'm not saying men can't buy them, but like I said, I know nothing about them, so I shouldn't give my opinion on that far. But if that's what he wants, then, you know, but it's funny how he wants it for as little as he can get it for. But then when he realized how popular they are and they're not that easy to get, he's not willing to pay the price. But since he can't buy the bike, he's got to buy something because that money's in there. He's itching. He's got to buy something. He goes out and buys him a new pair of shoes. So he goes and buys the On Cloud 6 waterproof, which is, you know, Dave has the On Cloud 5. I have the On Cloud 4s, and that's the one I don't like. And I said, unless they change the fitting some, maybe put more stretch in it, did something about the toes, I wouldn't be interested. I mean, I do like the shoe. I love the style of the shoe. It's just, they're not, unless I get the surfer or the trail looking ones, I can't wear them because of my heel. So I have to buy that type. I can't buy flat shoes of any kind. You know, they've got to have that arch and the heel in them. Okay, so he bought those. Those are like $169. And, you know, if he'll wear them, I don't have no problem with him paying that much because I do believe in comfortable shoes. I do believe comfortable shoes is more important. Comfortable, good shoes is more important than putting a lot of money into your wardrobe unless you're working. I mean, working in a really formal office setting. Yes. I don't really have any trouble with him buying Walmart clothes. But he could find clothes at better stores for, I don't know. I'm just saying, why not go somewhere else? Why not go to Macy's? I don't know. I just know he could find better than what's at Walmart. Because Walmart, what I've found with them is sometimes the seams, especially if you're washing them a lot, especially if you're washing them in a laundromat, they're not going to last very long. Now, if you have your own washer and you can wash them, you know, at the way you want to wash them, it's different. And that's just my opinion, though. That's all I'm going to say. Y'all know I buy Temu clothes. This shirt came from Temu. Talk about my sarcasm. It says, your little ray of sarcastic sunshine has arrived. Anyway, y'all know I like sayings on t-shirts. And, you know, this one, I mean, it's as good as any that are up there at Walmart, and it's not as much as the one at Walmart. I think it was like $5.99. I've got to where I don't put much money into my clothing from there. If it's not on sale or on reduced, or unless it's just something that really looks nice, I don't pay that much for it. Anyway, that's a different video altogether. So he bought the shoes. So now he don't want the bike no more. He cooked salmon and carrots inside the Flagstaff because it was raining. And now I will say, I'm not a salmon person. I don't know why. Oh, Lord. I'm trying to get the... Okay. I don't know why he chose the carrots and the way he did. I don't have any trouble with him having any problem with him having carrots if that's what he wants. Lord, it's got 174 dislikes on that video versus 121 likes. Anyway, I would not eat near that. I mean, that's way over his limit for what he should be eating of carrots, because carrots is nothing but pure sugar. He might as well eat a box of Little Debbie cakes. I mean, not really, but y'all know what I mean. As far if he's wanting to count calories and the amount of sugar that's going into his body. Now, I know it doesn't equal the same in the long run, but just hear me out. Okay, now that I've seen that, I want to see this one on the RV park. See how many likes and dislikes he has. Okay, He has 732 dislikes on that video versus 455 likes. So wow, he's definitely not crushing it, and definitely people aren't believing his story. Okay, let's look at the comments on that video. And I know this video is too long, but whatever. Okay, somebody left this. When I started dating online, so many women put too much of their personal information on the dating site. As a government employee, I was trained on not leaving a large internet presence. I explained, educated these ladies. They had no idea what they were doing. Sadly, many of these women met men with ill intent. That's true. And, okay, here's somebody telling me you should get a camera and put it up. All that stuff. And you made celebrity status. Oh, Lord. And Law and Order are officially back in the MAGA USA. This one, I'm glad you are aware of this person and authorities are investigating this matter. It's no joke. Stalking is a crime. Have a great weekend, Tim. Okay, there's nothing wrong with the authorities knowing that Tim might have stalkers. I'm not saying Dan is a stalker. He's not. But if Tim is not really talking to the authorities about it, he shouldn't be saying that he is. Just putting it out there. I don't know if there's any way to prove that he talked to the authorities, but... And anyway. Okay, here, Chris Michaels. I really can't stand this guy. I discovered him about a year ago, and he was a fan of the channel and defending Tim. Now he's probably become arguably the worst of all, because he's now showing up to Tim's videoing where he lives. He also posts Sarasota Tim in all his videos the last I looked. I don't look often. You look every day. He posts stuff like Sarasota Tim style meal at Applebee's as his titles, which is hilarious, as I can remember Tim ever going to Applebee's on the channel, and even if he did, he doesn't go there often. I don't think Dan, he does that to... It's no different than that guy down in Mexico who loves Tim, thinks he's the greatest thing on earth, putting Sarasota Tim on his titles. And, you know, I do it when I talk about Tim. If I don't talk about Tim, I don't put it in there. And I know somebody asked me the other day in one of the comments, when are you going to quit talking about Sarasota Tim? And I put, as I've always said, when people don't want to watch. And he made the comment, you get more videos on Sarasota Tim than you do your others. And I'm like, duh. So why do you think I'm still talking about him? All right. Anyway, I'm going to go. I've made the video too long. And just take it as it's like a live video. So I hope y'all have a great Sunday. I hope you're not in danger with all these storms coming through. Please make sure you have a way to, you know, get notifications, even if you know, my phone sometimes will not, I mean, it will send them out, I guess if it was right here, but I want if it's in the whole county or even the neighboring county. That's why I have a weather radio, you know, just in case I need it. And also to wake me up at night. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm not trying to preach what, you know, to you. Just, you know, I don't want anything to happen to anybody. Like them or not, anybody that's watching this video, whether you're a fan of Sarasota Tim or not, please stay safe in this upcoming bad weather we're going to be having for the next week all over the country. So I'll talk to y'all later. Love you. Bye.